been some teams that had really good off seasons, really good draft, really good free agency periods. And in my mind, there are 4 teams that I think can go from like one of the bottom teams in their division to one of the top. Let's start off with, of course, the Carolina Panthers. I think the Carolina Panthers, the trajectory they were going on towards the end of the season was nice. Losing to the Chiefs, game-winning field goal. Losing to the Eagles off a Leggett drop to the end of that game. Going to overtime with the Bucks. This team went 4-5 in their last 9 games. Bryce Young, after getting benched, like it was that I finally understand it meme. Like he started playing to a high level. He looked like Alabama Bryce Young, and he was finally, playing to the level of a CJ Stroud, these top quarterbacks in the NFL. Like he had the most big time throws in the NFL in comparison in weeks 9 through 18. He had 26 big time throws. That was more than Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, like Baker Mayfield, top quarterbacks in the NFL. Like he was playing to an elite level. What we saw from Bryce Young. And now you add T-Mac, one of the best receivers in this draft class. Marvin Harrison type of prospect, a guy that is huge. Mike Evans, Drake London type size, but he's fast. He can run away from guys. He's going to win the jump balls. Contested catcher. Like, that's the type of weapon that the Panthers really wanted. Leggett didn't give them that in year 1. It's okay. Still some hope for him. Jalen Coker is another guy that has a lot of promise and potential. Adam Thielen is still a guy that gave you 1,000 yards 2 seasons ago in Carolina. Still a savvy veteran. Still a weapon you could have. Hunter Renfrow is a route running god. Like, he's a technician. A guy that's always open. That's somebody that could find a spot on this roster. Jimmy Horn is another guy that's a sleeper and that's been having a really good offseason, really good camp and all that. So this receiver room looks a lot better. Bryce Young has weapons now, so I think the momentum that the Panthers built offensively, they could take that to another level. Bryce Young should have a good season. He should be right with CJ Stroud in terms of, playing franchise quarterback level play. The over and under for the Panthers is 6.5 wins. I think they beat that by 3. I think there's an 8-win team at the very worst. 9-win team. I think is it riding their ceiling, 9-8, because that's still a tough division in the NFC South. But I really like what I see from them so far. Dave Canales is a great offensive coach. Did really good work in Tampa Bay with, Baker Mayfield. Was in Seattle with Geno Smith as well. But this is somebody that I think can work with quarterbacks, and Bryce Young, the development. We all thought he was crazy for benching Bryce Young. And then Andy Dalton ended up getting in a car accident, and that's how they threw Bryce Young back out there. But the maturity in Bryce Young, just the professionalism, the type of quarterback he is, he's an even decent leader at his side. It's just a smaller guy, young guy, but he commands that locker room. He commands that offense and that huddle. So I really like what the future of the Carolina Panthers looks like. And then you bring in the factor that Chuba Hubbard is a top 10 running back in the NFL, 1,000-yard rusher last season. And then they brought in another 1,000-yard rusher from the Dallas Cowboys last season, Rico. Solid running back. Him and Hubbard together is going to be a nasty, lethal RB duo. And already the Panthers, that was something that they did phenomenally well, was run the ball with that offensive line that was much improved last year. So the offense is going to be great. Defensively was a question for them. They couldn't stop the run. Front 7 was poor. They couldn't get after the quarterback. J.C. Horn had a great season, though. He got a good extension. But front 7 was piss poor for the Carolina Panthers. Jadeveon Clowney, they let him walk, but Nick Scorden is in as a defensive end that they drafted. They also drafted another defensive end from Ole Miss who's solid. Like the size of both of those guys. Nick Scorden, I think, is a guy with a little more promise and potential. I think he'll be somebody that can elevate that defensive line. Derek Brown is back. He's going to take up 2 blockers at all times. He's going to be a really good run stopper, and that's what he's been so far in his career. So him, Bobby Brown is another good run stopper. Got him from the Rams. Pat Jones, DJ Wonnum. Like, you got pass rushers now. DJ Wonnum was hurt for majority of the season, but he's healthy now. He gave you 4 sacks last year. Him in Minnesota with Pat Jones, those are 2 guys that were productive pass rushers. So now them in this unit, I like that. I think this Panthers team has all they need to, take that next step and be a more competitive team in the NFC. And that was already what they were towards the end of the season. So I think they pick off from where they left last season. And this is a team that I wouldn't even be surprised if they won the NFC South. I wouldn't be surprised if Bryce Young was in those kind of conversations as a dark horse MVP candidate. We'll see, but I'm really high on the Carolina Panthers this season. The Chicago Bears is team number 2. This Bears team, off-season champs once again, but Ben Johnson, one of the best offensive minds in the NFL, gets paired with Caleb Williams. He worked with Jared Goff the last couple seasons, and Jared Goff has been putting up MVP candidate seasons year after year, having one of the most prolific offenses. But with the Bears, Caleb Williams is a different athlete, different type of, passer, different type of player, playmaker, all that. The creativity Caleb Williams plays with is going to be nasty, combining the creativity Ben Johnson calls an offense with. And the weapons, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Colston Love, and Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift at the running back position, Roshan Johnson, like offensive line, Joe Tooney, Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, Darnell Wright. The offensive line is better. Defensively, this is a really good defense. Secondary is elite. Dennis Allen is coaching this defense. So, and the NFC North with the Detroit Lions losing both coordinators, they'll probably take a step back, losing their center too to retirement. They're probably going to take a little bit of a step back. The Packers not making enough moves. The Vikings having a rookie quarterback coming out there, really essentially a rookie with him not playing his first season. There's room for error. There's a margin of error in the NFC North. And the Bears, with Ben Johnson, the right pieces in place, a better roster, talented players at every position, in every position group, and in every area, I think the Bears could make a run, not only being a playoff team, but winning their division. The next team I think is the New England Patriots. Really like what the Patriots did this offseason. Mike Vrabel is a huge improvement over Gerard Mayo. I didn't think Gerard Mayo should have got fired. It seemed like the players loved him, but he was just, in a tough situation. The roster was terrible. Just had to do a fresh, clean slate. And, Mike Vrabel is a coach that has had success with less. And him with the Titans, Ryan Tannehill being a first seed in the AFC, like going to the playoffs year after year in the AFC, tough conference with just Derrick Henry and a really good defense. With the Patriots, he has a defense. He has players on the defense to work with. They made a lot of free agency acquisitions. Milton Williams, really good pass rusher for the Eagles. More of a rotational guy, but an opportunity to be that starting guy. I think he can blossom, especially with Mike Vrabel. Christian Barrymore, healthy now. Before the blood clot situation, he was a top defensive tackle in the NFL. Harold Landry, this is the guy that was with Mike Vrabel in Tennessee, a double-digit sack guy, a couple seasons in his career. Underrated pass rusher. Christian Gonzalez is a corner that could shut down your best receiver week after week. So really like him. He just made the top 100. Big ups to him. Really good, underrated, really good corner. Top 10 corner in the NFL, I think. Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers, really solid secondary. Carlton Davis, another corner that's talented, really underrated. Doesn't get the credit. Not a name you think of, at the top of your, top corners in the NFL, but somebody that should be in conversation for making that list because he's consistently good. So defensively, I think they're going to be better. Robert Spillane, too, at the linebacker position. Like the moves they made defensively. Offensively, Drake May, he showed promise. He showed you that he could be a really good quarterback. You had Josh McDaniels as your offensive coordinator who's had success with a guy like Mac Jones, who's a lot, not as good as Drake May. Turned mac and cheese into a Pro Bowl quarterback. He had a great season. We thought he was the next coming of Tom Brady. We thought he was going to be great. And he's in Jacksonville. No, he's with the 49ers in his third team after being a top 10 pick. I think that's a good coordinator for him to work with. I think he'll be able to do a lot of great things with Drake May. He's a coordinator that's not going to go anywhere, so there'll be consistency with that. Kyle Williams, a really underrated receiver, really great deep play threat. I think he's going to make a lot of plays for the Patriots, and he's going to be one of their top leading receivers. Stephon Diggs, the whole shit with him and Cardi B, a lot of distraction with there, but what he does, the work ethic is there. Phenomenal work ethic, and when it's time to show up, he's going to show up. And he's somebody that's going to help Kyle Williams reach his fullest potential and all the other young receivers on this team. You can rely on Stephon Diggs being a playmaker for you. Even with the Houston Texans last season, before he got hurt, he was making plays with C.J. Stroud. So Drake May, having a weapon like Stephon Diggs will be huge this season. Offensive line, too. Will Campbell is that tone setter. Even with him being just a rookie on this offense line, he's going to set the tone. He's going to set the standard. This is a Mike Vrabel guy, a guy Mike Vrabel will love. And then Morgan Moses on the opposite side. Will Campbell, Morgan Moses as your tackle duo. You have a lot of faith in that. Morgan Moses is a really solid tackle, even at his age. So the offensive line got better. Trevion Henderson, too. This is that pass protector. Another Mike Vrabel tone setter kind of guy. Explosive running back, could be like Jahmyr Gibbs. That's, his comp coming out, could make that type of impact. I think he's going to steal this job from Ramondre Stevenson and be a 1,000-yard rusher right out the gates. but great pass protector, great third down back, can run in between the tackles, tough, truck guys. Yeah, he's going to make an impact. He's going to make his presence felt, and he's going to be kind of like Mike Vrabel's new, like, physical Derrick Henry type of back. Not to the size of Derrick Henry, but he's going to put up great numbers. So I think they'll go from 4-13 to about 8-9 or 9-8. That's what I think their ceiling is. Now for the Las Vegas Raiders. This is a team that I also like the moves that they made. John Spytek, great hire. He spent a lot of time under Jason Light. Saw that operation and saw how successful that team was able to become, winning a Super Bowl. Another guy that's been with Tom Brady, and Tom Brady having ownership. It makes sense having a guy like Spytek around a guy that he could trust. Pete Carroll and Geno Smith are two huge improvements, two huge additions that are going to improve this team. Pete Carroll, great coach. Antonio Pierce was a good coach, really good players coach, but Pete Carroll is one of those top coaches in the last decade. He's a tone setter. He's a culture setter. And I think Geno Smith is going to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I think he is a top 10 quarterback, and I think this season he will be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's going to improve this unit so much. They couldn't pass the ball down the field. They couldn't run the ball. And Geno Smith is one of the best deep ball throwers, most accurate passers in the NFL too. With the Raiders, the offensive line might even be better too. So offensively, they're going to be better. Ashton Jeanty was a perfect draft pick. He alone could win them some football games. Just that tough, hard-nosed runner. Marshawn Lynch kind of guy with more speed, I think. Like, he's going to be a huge difference maker for them early and solidify this Raiders team as one of the best running teams in the NFL instead of them being one of the worst teams, a team that couldn't run the ball at all. The defense has some holes, but having Max Crosby, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate year after year, an impact player, your defense is going to be just fine. This defense is going to be nice. And they picked up Jermaine Pratt at the linebacker position. They're filling holes. There's still some free agents that they could sign to improve this defense. I think this team is going to go from 4-13 to maybe the playoffs.
Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.